When you really stop and think about it, the fact that you and I are here right now, it's kind of absurd. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack a 13.8 billion year story, the sheer, literally miraculous improbability of your own existence. We're going to trace it all the way from the fiery genesis of the universe, right down to the breathtaking, fragile living system that we call home today.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because let's be real, every single day we rush to work, we sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic, we surround ourselves with the concrete and asphalt of our cities, and we just kind of lose ourselves in endless streams of screens and messages. We treat the air we breathe and the ground we walk on as a total given. But hidden just beneath the surface of that mundane routine are these incredibly complex, invisible natural systems, and they are working tirelessly right this very second just to keep us alive.
Take water, for instance. It covers a whopping 70% of our planet, right? But the crazy part is how fragile our life-sustaining supply actually is. 97% of it is salt water in our oceans. Another 2% is locked away in ice caps and underground. That leaves less than 1%, just 1%, of accessible fresh water for all of humanity and terrestrial life. But those vast oceans, they're doing way more than just holding salt water. They are the planet's ultimate climate buffer. They are constantly absorbing massive amounts of heat and carbon dioxide, literally keeping our world from boiling over into some harsh, unlivable wasteland.
And then, beneath those waves, there's this entire invisible workforce. Microscopic phytoplankton are actually producing a staggering 50% of the oxygen we breathe. So literally, every second breath you take is a direct gift from these unseen ocean dwellers. Meanwhile, up on land, just a single gram of fertile soil holds billions of bacteria, literally more than the entire human population, and they're just tirelessly breaking down organic matter, recycling the essential elements that allow our forests and fields to grow.
All of this hidden labor fuels this beautifully balanced chain reaction, what scientists call a trophic cascade. Plants capture solar energy, herbivores transform it into animal energy, and predators regulate the whole shebang. Look at what happened in Yellowstone National Park back in the 20th century. When wolves were eradicated, the deer population absolutely exploded. They devoured young vegetation and, believe it or not, even changed the physical course of the rivers. But when the wolves, the apex predators, were reintroduced, that natural balance was perfectly restored. Predators aren't just hunters, They are the necessary guardians of a healthy ecosystem. So all of these biological systems exist because Earth basically functions like a giant, perfectly tuned living organism. Think about our neighborhood. We orbit a super stable yellow dwarf star at the exact right distance. We have this 23.5-degree axial tilt that gives us our changing seasons. The moon's gravity acts like a planetary anchor, stabilizing our climate and preventing completely chaotic weather swings. And deep within the Earth, a molten core is generating a magnetic field that shields us from deadly solar winds. So how did all of these miraculous conditions perfectly align?
To answer that, we actually need to zoom out, way, way out. We need to rewind 13.8 billion years back to the Big Bang, back to a singularity, which wasn't a place, but a moment when space itself rapidly expanded. In those first fractions of a second, temperatures reached trillions of degrees. No stars, no planets, just a boiling, chaotic plasma of fundamental particles bursting into existence.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the tiny, almost imperceptible glitch that allowed us to even be here. In that primordial soup, matter and antimatter were created, and honestly, they should have completely annihilated each other, leaving absolutely nothing behind but light. But for every 1 billion particles of antimatter, there was 1,000,000,001 particles of matter. That tiny, unexplained cosmic lottery win, that microscopic imbalance, is the only reason any matter, and ultimately you and I, exist today. So the crucial point to take away here is that our existence relies on absolutely razor-thin margins. If the fundamental forces, like gravity or the expansion rate of that early universe, were even slightly different, a fraction of a percent, the cosmos would have either immediately collapsed back in on itself or flown apart so fast that stars could never form. It's a mystery that leaves science wondering, are we just one exceptionally lucky universe in an infinite multiverse, or is there some deep, hidden anthropic law, a rule stating the universe must be this way simply because we are here to observe it? Okay, so the matter that did survive that early expansion, it eventually clumped together to form the very first giant stars. And these massive short-lived titans were basically cosmic forges. Deep in their intense cores, they fused the very first heavy elements, like carbon and oxygen. And when they died in spectacular supernova, or when incredibly dense neutron stars violently collided, they literally rained heavy metals like gold, platinum, and uranium out into the dark cosmos. Seriously, the gold in your jewelry or the iron in your own blood, it was literally forged in the heart of an exploding star.
Fast forward to about 4.6 billion years ago, and a massive cloud of this very stardust coalesced to form our solar system. And man, it was a violent birth. The gas giant Jupiter acted as this massive gravitational architect, hurling and organizing the early planets. Earth was just a molten ball of rock until a Mars-sized object named Theia slammed right into it. That cataclysmic collision is what birthed our moon. Water arrived later from icy comets and deep volcanic degassing, while a relentless late-heavy bombardment continuously battering the cooling surface, delivering the very first organic molecules.
And then, the most impossible leap of all happened. How on earth did dead atoms learn to copy themselves? Because chemically speaking, the carbon in a lifeless rock and the carbon inside your body right now are completely identical. The true miracle isn't the matter itself, it's how that matter achieved a completely new level of organization, transforming into self-replicating information, the very code of life.
The mathematical probability of this happening by pure blind chance is, well, it's staggering. Scientists estimate that the odds of a simple 50-nucleotide RNA molecule, which is a precursor to DNA, assembling perfectly by accident is 10 to the negative 30th power. Guys, that is a decimal point followed by 29 zeros and a 1. Mathematically speaking, it is practically zero.
But here's the thing, it wasn't just one lucky roll of the cosmic dice. Earth was basically a massive, millions of years long chemical lab. Billions upon billions of parallel reactions were happening constantly in deep-sea vents and shallow sun-baked pools. Back in 1953, the famous Miller-Urey experiment actually proved this. By simply shooting simulated lightning through the gases of early Earth, they found that organic amino acids formed completely naturally. The building blocks were already there. Nature just had to find the right combination.
So, for about 3 billion years, Earth was this silent world, inhabited only by simple microbes. But then, boom, everything changed. Complex life burst forth in the Cambrian explosion. We see the very first forests emerge in the Devonian period, then devastating mass extinctions in the Permian, the towering reign of the dinosaurs in the Mesozoic, and finally, the age of mammals. All the complex, beautiful life we see today exploded into existence in just the most recent, tiny fraction of Earth's history.
And we actually arrived just in the nick of time, because the window for complex life, it's closing. In about 1 billion years, as our aging sun burns hotter and expands, it's going to boil Earth's oceans away entirely. Think about that. If evolution had taken just a little bit longer, the expanding sun would have completely destroyed any chance for complex intelligent life to ever emerge on this planet. Which brings us to this incredibly profound human paradox. While the rest of nature simply exists, surviving off instinct and perfectly balanced laws, we are entirely different. We literally invented the abstract concept of mathematics, something that doesn't physically exist inside a supernova or a black hole, just so we could successfully map the stars and predict the fundamental laws of reality. We are literally the universe waking up to observe itself.
And this brilliantly illustrates our unique power. I mean, really think about it. A squishy, 3-pound biological brain, made entirely of water, fat, and salt, is somehow capable of harnessing quantum mechanics to build supercomputers. We are currently editing the very biological DNA that created us, and we are developing artificial intelligence that can think entirely outside of a living organism. We have actually learned to master the forces that forged us. Yet look at how we actually use this cosmic mastery today. We possess this immense, almost godlike technological power to alter biology and split atoms, but we so often use our most brilliant minds to perfect advertising algorithms and endlessly scroll through social feeds. We have decoded the human genome, we've sent machines to other planets, yet we spend most of our days staring at screens totally disconnected from the natural roots and the living planet that made our existence possible in the first place.
So many people spend their entire lives waiting for some distant paradise in an afterlife, completely missing the reality of where we are right now. We are already in paradise. It's the vast ocean that regulates our climate, it's the forest that breathes life into our lungs, and it's the miraculous alignment of every single atom in your body. We are living on a breathtaking, vibrating oasis, completely surrounded by billions of dead, silent, frozen worlds. We know the 13.8 billion year journey it took to get here. We understand the literal impossible odds we beat just to exist as conscious beings. So, as we wrap up this explainer, the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves is not just who we are or how we got here. The real question is, what are we going to do with this paradise while it's still here?